Hey, what's up, guys? So as you can see, I took a loss yesterday, and there was a lot on my mind about that trial because, as you'll see if you look at the video, I wanted to see if there was ways to one-shot a couple of the rooms. It was a room 3 and a room 6, and I didn't necessarily play it to win. Perhaps that was possible if I could have full cleared everything. I think it would have still been very hard to do that, and what I'm considering, or what I considered at the time, is that I think I'd much rather find a way when you see the video that my Odin not fail and then I have to use him as a sack and then figure out the rest. I'd rather take that video, what I've learned from going forward with this one, this trial, is that I plan to do sacks, and then that way I can have my Odin at his fullest potential, or whatever team I'm going with it to win will have the best chance because I've either sacked the room once or twice. And so let's just take a look at who my opponent's ranking is. So this is how we're ranked. These are all the guys that won the first one, and all the guys lost the first one. You can see I'm at the bottom. I'm going against Ninja. This is a rematch. Ninja beat me before, and I'm not sure if Ninja was the one where I faced this type of a level defense for the first time, but definitely it was a tough defense. I do remember that. And here are my stats. This is what I'm running on defense. So Desir said he had some success with running his full out of time in 2, and I said, you know what, that's really a good idea, because what I noticed in doing some practice sessions and then actually using the out of time in war on offense, that I had pulled Starbrand, and Starbrand is just the damage. And so that's a big part of what goes on with them, is you need him for the damage more so than even the Cosmic Ghost Rider. Of course, with the Black Knight. So that's kind of the balance on the team, and I can see how guys can have some issues with it when you're adding them to a really tough set of rooms. I mean, you have 1 or 2 rooms that are really strong. So by the time they get to the 5th or 6th attack here, meaning out of time, it's like, Jesus, they were harder to beat than I thought, because they used their better tunes, of course, on the harder teams. And so the same concept came with room 5, just going back to that, because guys have to use something decent here or you can mess up. And even if you do use some of your top teams, if you don't play it really specifically, you can lose efficiency. And that's what this comes down to. Even if it's a turtling season going on, which a lot of guys are turtling, we still need to be efficient. Room 4 is just my room 2 placed in room 4. We'll see if that makes a difference, because I do think the out of time can work in 1. I could put them back in 2. I could try Annihilators in 1. I think the Orchis works well in 4. It's just the main thing is I want to put Secret Defenders back on offense, because Strange is turning out to be such an offensive weapon. And so this is what my opponent has on defense. So I chatted with Updog, and then later on Joker came in, Irish Joker, and so ran some things by them. And so we'll see if what we've come up with can work. But at the end of the day, like I said, where I'm at now is the thought of sacking. So at the moment, Updog said he's had success with a single sack on 4, and then he has a certain Superior 6/Sinister 6 team he goes in with Odin. And then I think that there could be a way for me to go into this room 6 after a double sack, which I think would be Illuminati, and I could probably beat this. So we'll see. What the tough room will be for me now will probably be room 3. I just have to hope Spider Society can do it. If not, we have other raid teams, and so this is probably more similar to what you're seeing from Desir and some of the other guys, where they just go in, they do a lot of sacks, and then they hope that one of their rooms holds or trips up more on their opponent than I got tripped up on. So that's kind of the approach I'll be going into now. You may see 3, 4, even 5 drops, but there will be sacks, they'll be planned. as much as possible, and then that way to try to get the full clear with the best, strongest team possible as the final attempt. So here we have again Spider Society going into room 3, and I wasn't sure because the North Star was there. I hadn't done it in a while, or if I had even done it at all. But I know I'd gone into Orchis before with Spider Society, and so I just treated it as if it was a Spider Society with a North Star, and I said, well, you just get him out of there as quick as you can. So the ult first kind of helps get him prepped to get him out of there pretty quickly. He almost dies there, and so now there's no taunting bots. So it's like, well, we'll just put the special on him here. So now he's gone, and then the rest of the play is pretty easy, especially since the Sentinel is pretty low. I like to go ahead and stun the Omega here, just because she does a lot of pinging, and that's something that C-Roy brought up once. Like, you want to stun her so that she doesn't keep pinging you to death. And it's like, right, that's like a gambit move. You know, if you can stun them, then you take less damage. But as you can see, even though this is a punch-up, the Spider Society just makes light work out of this team in the raid room. So I think it's, if you're not doing anything else with Orchis or really any of your other raid tunes, you put them in here to kind of make sure a Spider Society is used. I just prefer to use like the Alpha Flight or something like that I'm not using anywhere else. So this is just one of my standard sack teams. Mostly what I'm looking at is just to get the death proofs, try to drag it out, try to pull as much abilities as I can, and then see where I'm at when it's time to go in and actually do the counter. And so since most likely I won't be using the Bifrost on offense, there could come a time that I do. I just plan on them being here as a sack team. And you can see how they're able to pull the abilities. It's not that they're doing anything other than just being target practice, but ideally you're looking at how the Illuminati is going through all their first turns, and then they start coming around and start doing the second turns. The thing is that I think you got to be mindful right here. Perhaps I hit the pause too late, in that I don't know if you want Odin to pull his special ability or not. And so I skipped over. I said, I'm gonna think about what I'm gonna do here on this next attempt on that room. And I said, well, let's just try this Secret Defenders with Moondragon in here. They seem to be pretty formidable on defense, but that's really just dragging out the fight. Moondragon can really make a problem, and I was thinking that maybe with her and Strange in there, they get some kind of healing factor, and then maybe I get something going with the Black Cat and Robbie. But it doesn't appear to be the case. So, you know, we'll figure out something with the Ancient One. Maybe there'll be a way to use them on offense, or maybe there's a way to use them on defense until we get the full team. But at the moment, I don't think it's worth breaking up your Secret Defenders if you're going to use them on offense. If you're going to use them on defense, yeah, you got to find ways to make them where they can't just be one shot with new warriors. And I want you guys to keep in mind that a lot of guys that I've been going against lately, they have taken their new warriors to G19, 3 diamond, purple 3. So I'm not suggesting anybody do that because it's very expensive. But down the line, if you're able to at least bring them up to purple 3 and whatever diamonds you have on them, and put red gear on them, because that is expensive, they're a very good team. But for the most part, you see that this team is really not doing any damage to this extreme team, the Rogue and the Absorber Man. And so it's just really a way to get in there and just soften them up. Because like at this point, it's like, well, you're going to have to come back in. I don't know if there's any point to try to cancel out. I'm not going to be able to use this team anywhere else. And then once again, it's like, if we're going to go in and have to sack, then the idea behind it is if you make a mistake like this, then you need to see how your defense can hold up. And so that was the test here. So just keep in mind that if you're going against an opponent that has somewhat of a turtly defense and you don't, then the pressure is on you to go in and be very efficient. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're able to do that. What I started to see is that when guys have Mephisto, and it's a strong Mephisto team where you have to double sack it, and they have Odin Illuminati, because as of yet, I'm not sure there's another Odin combination that would work as well as Illuminati. We'll see when we get more of the Astral team out. That could be a problem. But at the moment, those two teams are very difficult to one-shot. And Odin Illuminati is just very difficult to clear, period. So if you have those two on defense, then it gives you a chance to have errors or sack attempts or attempts where you try and it doesn't work. And that's how Desir has been playing lately. Like, he did that all of last season. He was able to climb up into the top rank series in the top 100. And so it made me think about it, that maybe it's less pressure in that sense to go ahead and start turtling, because there seem to be more guys starting to get into the turtling for this season. But at the end of the day, you can see how this team could be a problem on defense with Strange and Moondragon with doing all the healing. So it makes me wonder how the Ancient One will do. You have Odin and maybe somebody else, probably some type of really, really great pre-taunt, which at this particular point, I don't know who that will be. But you could put that in there, and then maybe it might have a chance to make sure that your Odin would be hard to beat. But we'll probably know much better once we have the full team out, Astral that is, and back to the Secret Defenders. I think guys probably have a better shot of clearing this room with the full Secret Defenders, because as you see here, just taking out putting in Moondragon for Photon is not the answer. And this is just really in the reverse sense, or the inverse, where you would have them on defense. They could probably be decent to drag the match out this long, because you see here the time is running out, and that's the main reason I'm still going with the commentating here, is because I want you to see how long it takes to at least even kill Strange. Now, this is not an ideal offensive team, but he lasts the entire time. So with the right combination of tunes around him, or him around the right combination of tunes, you can see how this can eat up the clock. And the main thing is, once you start getting to 2.5 minutes, that's about the average score in a CC match. And so here, I wanted to go in and just kind of try out a sack of just using the rest of the Infinity Watch and Quicksilver and see what will get pulled, because I wasn't sure how to really go about countering this team in the sense of what abilities do you pull, because I'd never gone against it before. But I've seen Annihilators on defense, I've used them on offense, and so the main thing was, if I can get into the turn 2 abilities for Annihilators, I knew it would be pretty safe. And of course, you got to pull the Mephisto ult. So that was the idea. This particular team would probably do much better if I had the entire Infinity Watch, but I think we got to get used to not having Moondragon as a part of this team, because we probably will be using her as whatever pieces of the Astral team we have on offense or defense. Now, Wakanda's not really an ideal team to let the play sequence go forward, but what I want to do is just try to get the scroll to go, so I know it will be on his basic ability, and then it's like, I'll just stop here and see how it goes. And so now I'm going in with the full Illuminati. I'm figuring that there's no real abilities to really harm Illuminati, and Illuminati will probably do pretty well against this particular combination if there was no Mephisto and all the abilities were burned. So it's like, well, let's just go in and see how it goes, because the ideal thing is, at this point, you just want to clear it with as high efficiency as you can, because you're double sacking. And if my opponent's able to clear all of his rooms, then that's what I'm looking at. Is there's still an element of efficiency involved when you're turtling. The part that makes for a little bit more safety is, if I don't clear a room, then maybe my defense is strong enough where he does not clear a room, or if it's strong enough where he has to drop an extra room. And so that's kind of where I'm at, because at this point there's so many guys turtling that I'm not sure that it's really worthwhile to start going more offensive heavy, because, like once I said before, it puts more pressure on us to go against the offensive heavy team, making our defense light. So they don't go in with as much pressure to clear our defense, and we go with much more pressure to clear their defense. And so my thought is, well, let's just even the score. Both sides can turtle, and we'll see how it goes. Once again, I've seen Desir win matches where both sides had 2 rooms that could not get cleared. And so it just lets you know that that's not the most fun way to play. But if this is where the meta is going as far as defense with our our main Crucible teams and our main tunes in the game, then there's a choice that needs to be made. And this is the choice that I think is going to work best for me. And that's the plan, at least to see going into next week. But once again, when you have new tunes coming in like the Astral, you don't really know if they're going to be really good on offense or defense. So that could change again. So when I looked at this team, I was not looking at my notes, and my first thought was, oh yeah, we're just going with the Superior 6 Vulture. And Superior 6 does well against the Secret Defenders, and it's even with Strange having the increased stats, they do pretty well, and they do fairly well against Black Knight teams. And as I started going, I said, uh-oh. I was looking at the damage, and it wasn't so much the damage the team was taking. I said, oh my God, I took the wrong team in here, because I had planned to use the 3-piece, the Superior 6 on the Odin team. And I said, okay, well, this is still just experiment, so just back out, don't worry about it, and then go in with your Cabal. And so I back out, and I said, okay, we're going with Cabal. You got Kang, you got Ultimus, and then you'll just take care of this team, because I really do like having Kang and Ultimus when I see a Black Knight. They really take care of him pretty well. So you can see here, Kang knocks him down pretty low into the yellow, and then you come in with Ultimus, and then he just wraps it up. So at this point, it's just really the Cabal show against the Secret Defenders. Kang may get a chance to go, he may not, but ideally, once you have Black Knight out of the way, the Cabal team is just too fast and too powerful in Cosmic Crucible for it to even matter. So I've gone against the Night Stalkers in other rooms, even punch-ups, but in room 1 they're much more difficult. The first time I did it, I was punching down 1 million, maybe more, 1.5 million, and I barely won. And I said, well, I'm going to go in and just see. And the Morgan does make a difference, because she's making Agatha more powerful. Now, I think if you're going to play it, you can't do the ult here to have a chance. But in the reality of things, it may be better to try to use Night Stalker somewhere else and just use Cabal here, because you can see how they're retaliating. Now, this is a slight punch-up, and my team is already just on the rope. So, and I don't know if the ult here is the move either. Maybe the special, you can lead in and on the one side to the other. I would think that probably still want to hit Blade, but I'm not totally sure. I'd have to look at that to see how that would play out. Once again, you see my team is wiped out. So when the Night Stalkers are in room 1, I don't suggest doing the mirror, but it may be possible if you really practice it. And since the Night Stalkers had exhausted their abilities, they're like, well, let's just go in, we'll just clean it up with New Warriors. I've been told New Warriors can punch up on them even in room 1 and win. So that may be something I'm willing to try, depending on how the defense is lined up, and if I need New Warriors nowhere else, I may try that, because once again, once you go through their abilities, then probably I can go in with Night Stalkers and clean it up. That's if I don't need to use my Cabal somewhere else. So it's just things to think about. But in room 1, Night Stalkers are really good defense, even at a low level, because guys that are punching down, which seems to be guys that have really huge Night Stalkers, are just going ahead putting them on defense. And at this point, I think in room 1, that could be a good play. And so here, this is the finishing off of the room 5. I still had the Mercs, so I said, let's just go in. And it's not much of a battle left, so you can see how easily it is to clean up. Once again, I think that when you're looking at doing these kind of attacks, you have to keep in mind that you really have to have a strong defense, meaning APOC and Odin have to be on defense, and then whatever 2 or 3 other really strong teams you can put together, so that when you have to come back and do 2 attempts the way I've been doing, you have a chance. Win or lose, the goal is you want to try to clear all rooms. And if you can't, you have to hope that your opponent doesn't clear one of your rooms. And that seems to be the game plan behind turtling. So since most of the guys that went against this week and some of the guys that went against last week are doing that, it may be a better game plan for me to if you can't beat them, join them. And so here we go with the sack. I figured, well, because I had talked to the seer, he had chimed in and said, no, man, if you're going to have to double sack it. If Odin got a chance to start on his special, then you just want to go ahead and sack it again. He said, don't pull any abilities and go in. And that may have been a good idea. I just don't think that this particular team maybe I had up dog there and we could have walked through it the first time around. He said he's beaten it with this team, but he also said that before Odin pulls his special, he goes ahead and he pauses it. And so there's some tricks to this sack and then using this particular team. I think that what will work better for me is just to plan on learning how to use a different type of counter. And since I'm going to have Illuminati on defense, unless I find another way to make Odin just as tough where he's hard to beat or can't be beat as an Illuminati Odin team, then I've got to figure out a different way to counter this, or at least have a good attempt at countering it when I see it on defense and mine on defense. And that could happen because since I have mine on defense, somebody might attack into it and then I'll see the counter, I can replay it, and then I'll have the counter. But at this point in time, it's just a lot of experimenting and there's failed attempts. And you can see that it seemed like there was a chance right here for me to get going, but my Odin didn't heal up. And his Odin has more health than mine, and so just that little bit of more health is just enough to make a difference where I'm going to lose. So here are the results. And so I just want you guys to take a look at how if you drop a room and you don't have your Odin on defense, when your opponent has Odin on defense, then you really have to clear it to have a chance.